It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Rose, answer, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Welcome on in to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker here with Eric Frandsen on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM The Fan. Streaming online at 1069thefan.com and on the 1069 The Fan mobile app. You can also find us on your podcast feed, Spotify, Apple, whatever different ways you listen to the show. Of course, you can also find our podcast feed on our website on the mobile app. If that's how you listen to our show live. You can also catch our podcast feed there, as well as on the website. So however you're listening, we welcome you on in, and we welcome you to text the Young Power Sports of Logan text line 435-339-0321. Spent a lot of time, basically the entire hour, first hour, talking about Utah State's win over San Diego State. Now the Aggies ended up rallying from down 11 in the first half and down 7 in the second half to pull away for the 71-66 victory. That'll be published shortly here, so you can go back and check that out once you're done finishing. If you're just tuning in now and you want to hear more about that win from the Aggies, you can check it out on our podcast feed, currently being processed.
Yeah, it's such an exciting win for Utah State. The way they were able to overcome a really slow start. Offense wasn't really clicking, but defense kept them in it. Able to come back from being down. Great energy from Carson Templin. Great contributions from Adlin Elamine. And then just really solid play from a variety of different players. Not always great. Like Drake Allen had moments where he was making some bad passes.
Had 7 turnovers.
Yeah, and he just, some things that he did not help his team. But he redeemed himself. The way he finished the game, he made critical plays, offensively and defensively for Utah State. So I love that redemption arc for him.
Yeah.
So really big win for Utah State to now be tied for first place in the Mountain West Conference standings.
Yeah, and you mentioned Drake Allen. Like even in the last couple of minutes, he had a dumb play because he had a bad turnover that led to a three-pointer that brought the game within 2 points. But then the next play, he hits a layup against Miles Heide. Puts the Aggies back up by 4. He then goes one-on-one against Miles Bird, arguably the best defender in the Mountain West, especially one-on-one, drives into the paint and draws a foul. And that
got
helped.
an and one, right?
No, not on
play.
that occasion. It was a different one. And, of course, I think he only made one of the 2 free throws, so there's still some room for improvement. The Aggies were terrible at free throws the entire game. Kind of a bad night for them.
13 of 23.
Yeah, just not particularly great. I was trying to look up games where they'd shot like under 30% from 3 and under 60% on free throws, see what their win rate was. And it's actually not nearly as bad as you might think. Where they've won a decent amount of games where they shoot that bad from 3 and from free throws. Because games like this, there are more than one way to win a basketball game.
Yeah.
It really helps if you hit your 3s and free throws, though.
No, it does, absolutely. But a couple of the games, we didn't even mention these last hour, but just the scoreboard from the weekend. Grand Canyon dismantled Boise State.
Yeah.
They are proving they are the real deal at home. They are really tough to beat at home. It's strange, some of the losses that they've had this year so far at home.
Yeah.
We thought Boise State maybe kind of already hit their bottom and we're starting to climb back up. They've slid back down that hill quite a bit.
Yeah,
86-69.
Yeah, I think it's, as you said, Grand Canyon, the real deal at home. The biggest question for them, I mean, it's the same question we're asking of the contenders. So that's where Grand Canyon is kind of sitting, is do they win on the road? The difference between the elite teams and the good teams, like last year, Utah State was a good team, but not an elite team because they struggled to get wins on the road. They got basically one notable win on the road, and that was at San Diego State. They lost at Boise State. They lost at Colorado State. They lost at New Mexico. They lost at UNLV. So they took a lot of those road losses. So they were a good team. They only lost one home game in conference. That was to the conference champion, New Mexico. But Boise State, of course, not only have they lost games at home, they've now been swept by Grand Canyon, actually. And they lost a home game to Utah State. But, okay, they were starting to recover a little bit, and they have a home win over New Mexico, if memory serves. But, yeah, going back on the road against, one of the better teams in the Mountain West right now, Boise State just doesn't seem to have it. And so they fall back under 500 after they got into 500. They started 1-5 in Mountain West play, got to 5-5. But now they're back to 5-6, and Grand Canyon advancing to 7-3. So we'll see if Grand Canyon can they get a win in the Spectrum? Can they get a win? Well, they lost in the pit. They got killed in the pit. Can they win at Viejas? They lost in Almighty Lawler. The band was there, so they never even though they were, one made free throw away from winning that. I guess the band was just a little bit too loud.
Their week this week, the host Air Force, and they're at UNLV on Saturday.
So that should be a pretty easy week for them.
Yeah. The other games on Friday night, in-state rivalry game, Nevada hosting UNLV. Did not play like it was a rivalry game. Nevada beat UNLV 89-76. Watching UNLV their last couple of games, I just keep pulling my hair out. Like, how did Utah State lose to this team?
Yeah, well, they were missing Jones in this game. I think he went out in the game previous and didn't play in this one. So he's been kind of their walking mismatch that they've been able to rely on for a few points. I don't know if he makes up the 13-point gap. Maybe could have helped a little bit. And I think his rim protection may have helped a little bit, especially against a team like Nevada who can struggle inside the paint. I mean, the Aggies got like 10 blocks against them. Who knows what Jones would have been able to do against Nevada. But, yeah, UNLV just a walking inconsistency at this point.
Well, and Corey Camper Jr. for Nevada had a massive night, 32 points.
Yeah.
I believe he was the Mountain West Player of the Week this week. So, yeah, big game for Nevada. Then 4 games on Saturday. There really wasn't anything nearly as interesting as Utah State and San Diego State.
Not particularly close. You were done with the interesting stuff by 2 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, Fresno State ran away from Air Force 79-62. New Mexico beat San Jose 90-80. Kind of a sneaky, close game for stretches. There was some interest and intrigue in Colorado State and Wyoming because it's the border war. Those teams are rivals. Could be Colorado State's last game there. Though they're working on some deals to continue that rivalry because they'll be in different conferences in the future. But Wyoming getting it done. Spicy crowd. Ended up winning that game 68-57.
Well, Caden Bennett going 6 of 8 from 3, like that was pretty insane for him. Like, I know he's a good player, but this is a guy who averages, I think he was averaging 7 or 8 points per game. Up until this one, his season high, I don't know if it was his career high, but his season high was, I think, 14, and that was, against Denver in the non-conference play. So, and I think what was his career high he made 3 3-pointers in a game before. Like, he absolutely went off. Gets himself a 20-10 game, 22 points, 10 rebounds. I think Colorado State was definitely not ready for that as far as their own defensive game plan. And then Colorado State also just had an absolute stinker of a game offensively against a not particularly great Wyoming defense at times. I don't know what it is about Colorado State's offense where there are times where they are just the shot-making kings of the world. And then suddenly you're looking at a game where they scored 57 points against Wyoming, whose defense is decent, but it ain't that good. And it's like, I think they may just end up relying too much on jump shots because I look back at the Utah State games where they shoot a ton of jump shots, barely get into the lane. Like they took like 8 shots at the rim against the Aggies in the game in Fort Collins, and it's like you're at home and you can get 8 layups.
Yeah,
8 layup attempts. It's like maybe that's the secret. I haven't checked to see if that's their jump shot to layup ratio, if it was similar as it was when they played the Aggies most recently. But yeah, Colorado State just looked like a potential monster of a team coming out of the non-conference, and they have just become a non-factor. And mind you, one of their wins in conference play was at Grand Canyon.
Yeah, that's what's just baffling.
So I don't know what it is, but
So looking at the standings now, Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico, all at 9-2. Nevada and Grand Canyon, they're just a game and a half back. Nevada's 8-3, Grand Canyon is 7-3. Then you've got UNLV at 5-5, Boise State's 5-6, Fresno's at 4-6, Wyoming 4-7, Colorado State 3-8, San Jose 1-10, and Air Force still looking for their first conference win. So you've got the top three that are absolutely still in contention. Those are the top teams in the Mountain West. There's no question about it. Then I think you have to put Nevada and Grand Canyon on a separate tier. Like, they're good teams not to be overlooked, teams that could beat anybody on any given night, but not conference contenders. And then you got like a big bag of mush in the middle. And then you just got, the garbage refuse left over, and that's San Jose and Air Force at the bottom.
Yeah, I know my own power rankings I put out on Sunday, and I ended up putting Nevada, Boise, Grand Canyon, and UNLV kind of all in the same tier. And a few people said basically what you were like. I'd probably put them in separate tiers where you have your contenders, your Utah State, New Mexico, San Diego State. You could make an argument for any one of those teams to be the top team in the Mountain West. Whatever argument you want to make, whatever you want to do. New Mexico is a little iffy because they lost their one game against the one of the other top two teams. Of course, they're going to get their chance at Utah State on Wednesday. But yeah, Nevada and Grand Canyon, like, they're not in the same tier as Boise and UNLV. Just because Nevada and Grand Canyon have been more consistent, not as consistent as they need to be, and haven't gotten the kind of course, nobody's really gotten the road wins yet with any consistency. But still, those are the teams that are capable of beating the top teams. Grand Canyon's already done it. Of course, they've also lost to top teams and also lost to Nevada and lost to Colorado State. That ends up kind of being the difference between them being in the exact same tier as Utah State, New Mexico, and San Diego State. So, yeah, that I think that's pretty much where I'd have them. I think my power rankings are on social media. I also have my composite rankings where I look at all KenPom, net, everything, add it all up together, and your top three is Utah State, New Mexico, and San Diego State. Boise still
in that order?
Yeah, in that order. Utah State 1, New Mexico 2, San Diego State 3. Nevada actually at 4, Boise at 5, ahead of Grand Canyon. So Grand Canyon's still working through the non-conference where the metrics didn't really like Grand Canyon's non-conference performance. So they're still looking. But you look at the top 6, every single one of the top 6 team had their average ranking, all these composites, go up. Grand Canyon the most, where they went +8. They are a hair away from finally overtaking Boise State. Nevada went up a decent amount with their blowout win over UNLV, and in beating Grand Canyon, I think factored into that as well. But even, where, Boise State actually lost, but they still went up slightly. Utah State and New Mexico both go up. San Diego State, even though they lost, they still went up. So having all these composite rankings go up, that's good for the conference and a good sign. Like, you now have 3 teams where their composite ranking is in the top 50. Like, you talk about their net being in the top 50. The net can be inflated, and the net, like, nobody actually uses the net as a ranking. And so if you're top 30 in the net,
standalone,
nobody cares. They worry about KenPom. Like, Coach Calhoun, when we walk into the press game conference, he asks us, all right, what are we in KenPom now?
Yeah.
He didn't care about the net. The net isn't going to be a ranking that people use. So you look at a bunch of these other rankings.
Well, the committee uses it. They look at it, among other things. It's not. It's not. What your point is. It's not a standalone thing.
Yeah, and
it has value.
Yeah, and among the others, the value it has is the least of all the rankings. It is the least regarded metric as far as an actual ranking.
Right.
It's much more used as a sorting system to decide quad 1 games. So when you look at all of these rankings, the fact that you have 3 teams comfortably within the top 50, that's where you want to be for an at-large. Now, the further you get in that top 50, the more comfortable you are. The Aggies are in the top 30, so they are comfortably in. In New Mexico and San Diego State, they're again, as we kind of finish the first hour, they're sweating it out a bit, but they're feeling good about their chances to get in, even if they're going to Dayton.
Yeah, this should still be a multi-bid league, whether it's 2 or 3. It's not going to be 4. I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't see that.
It's still a good possibility that it's a 3-bid league.
Yeah.
But to do that, the top teams in the conference, Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico, need to continue to do well in how they perform.
Yeah, you can't have them taking any more surprise losses. Basically, you need them.
If they're going to lose, it has to be within just among those top 3.
You almost think for the good of the conference, as far as getting 3 bids, you almost want them to split with each other. Everyone wins at home.
Yeah.
Because say Utah State sweeps San Diego State, the Aztecs are suddenly hurting for a tournament bid.
Yeah.
The main thing that would be helping
Quality
them for
wins on their resume are hard to come by.
Yeah, they didn't get that win over Houston like they did last year, which that basically got them into the tournament. If they don't beat Houston last year, they probably don't get in.
That paid dividends for months.
And basically, they'd be trying to ride the reputation of we're San Diego State. And that might be enough because the committee is prone to that kind of thinking of, hey, this is a team that has been in the tournament and they can get some wins. And that could very well help San Diego State. But if they get swept by the Aggies, they're kind of in trouble because they'd be lacking in good road wins. They at that point, they pretty much have to win at the Pit. Which I don't remember if they play at the Pit. I think they do. I think all of the top 3 are going to play each of the other top 3. We won't have a situation where somebody has to dodge the other in a home or an away game. So
they play, let me tell you, they play at New Mexico on February 28th.
Yeah. That's pretty late in the schedule.
Yeah.
We got some big, because, New Mexico playing or hosting San Diego State. New Mexico has to go to Utah State first week of March.
And San Diego State hosts the Aggies in the game just before that on February 25th.
So that's good.
So the Mountain West schedule has the best teams facing each other at the end.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's some. I don't know if they were expecting San Diego State and Of course, I think New Mexico was picked 4th or 5th, I think. They were still expected to be pretty decent in the conference. So, yeah, some exciting matchups coming up. But, the bracketology looking okay right now for a 3-bid Mountain West. But there's some things that still have to go the way for these top 3 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing, I know the top 25 polls are out, the AP and the coaches. Utah State is not in those, at least not in the top 25 itself, but they do remain among those receiving votes. So Utah State really got knocked down some notches after those 2 back-to-back losses, and it's going to take a bit for them to climb back into it. How they perform on Wednesday could go a long way.
It's 2603 on the Young Power Sports Logan text line asking, what is USU's ceiling as far as seed? 7.
Yeah, probably
if
at this point.
If they won
probably
out,
right. I don't see they get any higher than that.
If they won every single game from here on out, they'd be a 7 seed.
If they won every other game, so that would mean they'd pick up 3 more quad 1 games on the road, and then they'd probably pick up another 1, maybe 2 in the tournament. Because right now they're in the 9 seed territory. Could they move up into a 6?
I doubt it.
I don't know. Probably not. It would be on the edge. 7th is probably the most likely. The 7th seed is probably the most likely ceiling for Utah State.
Yeah, they win out. They get a 7 seed. I think, and I think at this point where they're at the 9 seed, that's the most realistic. Like 9 seed, if they don't lose too many games, if they lose at Viejas, at the Pit, or maybe even they split those games. Say they go, 2-1 at Nevada, at New Mexico, at San Diego, those 3 games. If they go 2-1 in those, your bracket matrix might have the Aggies as an 8 seed, but they'd end up as a 9 seed. If they won the conference tournament, maybe they would actually end up as an 8 seed, possibly. If a lot of these positive things are happening. So, there's a world in which they end up as an 8 seed or just barely a 9 seed, where, that's them winning the conference championship, regular season and or conference tournament. They end up as an 8 seed or maybe just barely a 9 seed. If they don't win the conference championship and, they end up losing a lot of these road games, they're probably looking at being a 10 seed or taking a trip to Dayton. So those are kind of the two branching paths I see for the Aggies.
Yes, and I think style points matter at the end of the regular season and in the tournament. I know that the committee will try to look at your entire body of work, but there is a recency bias. Like, are they playing well right now? Then we should probably give them a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt. Because if they struggled earlier, but they're looking good now, well, this is more of who are they now? Like, what team are we going to send to the tournament today?
Yeah, like a world in which, like, say Utah State loses at the pit, heck, even if they get killed on Wednesday, but like they win those late games in the regular season, where they're they play San Diego. Say they they're at Nevada, at San Diego State, home against Grand Canyon, UNLV, New Mexico. Say they win all 4 of those games. Then they go win the conference tournament. That's a scenario where even if they drop, like, say, a road game at New Mexico, that's one where they could end up as an 8 seed where that recency bias is there. But again, that requires, like, even getting an 8 seed, that's a Mountain West Championship winning Aggies team. Like, you look at the last Mountain West Championship winning Aggies teams, ones that did things that, just impressive seasons, and they got an 8 seed. Like, people thought maybe they're going to get a 6 or a 7. No, like, a Mountain West Championship Aggies team is kind of by default an 8 seed. They're not getting above that just because you end up picking up a few losses along the way. So unless you have this like 30-win season, the Aggies are not going to be looking at anything better than an 8 seed. We'll see if the Pac-12 can kind of change that. But that kind of ends up being the Aggies thing. I know we have these conversations earlier in the season about maybe can they get a 5 seed or a 6 seed, but as always ends up being the case, no matter what the conversation is looking like in early January when they're like 15-1, there's always some losses once they get into the tougher part of the schedule that end up lowering that ceiling. So 7 is the absolute max, 8 is your kind of realistic maximum, and 9 or 10 is kind of the about 60% of futures, I think, have the Aggies as a 9 or a 10 seed.
Yeah, there's just still a lot of basketball to be played. So the top 3 teams could continue to roll through conference play, stack up really good quality wins by nice, healthy margins that make them all look good. And, high tides raise all boats. But
for the good of the conference.
For the good of the conference, maybe. But you're right. There's just too much basketball to be played right now. But that's probably a pretty fair assessment of where we think Utah State could go.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to shift from Utah State basketball to Utah State football. They added, let me count this out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players, I think, via the transfer portal since I last updated my transfer tracker. So we're going to go over all those players. We're not going to do super in-depth on any of them. And some of these players were guys who haven't played a whole lot, but we'll still look at them. What does it mean for the respective position groups that have added, especially on that defensive side and especially the defensive front? What players have they added? What does it mean for those position groups? So we'll get into that coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
This just in from Cherry Peak Night Skiing. While most of Utah is waiting on storms, Cherry Peak is making snow, and it shows. Cold temps, deep bases, and fast, fun night terrain, all at the lowest prices around. Night passes start at $25, and when you're done, grab a burger or a soda at the Peak Grill, just minutes east of Richmond. Night skiing Monday through Saturday, 5 to 8. Friday through Sunday open all day. Details at skicpr.com. We'll catch you at the Peak.
This is Garrett with Cache Valley Bank. Life has a way of moving quickly. Kids growing up, students starting fresh, and business owners taking bold new steps. At Cache Valley Bank, we're here for all of it. Whether you're opening your first account, growing your business, saving for the future, or planning what comes next, we're proud to be your trusted financial partner right here at home. Cache Valley Bank. Real relationships, real solutions for every stage of life. Member FDIC.
Winter's here and that old car sitting in the driveway isn't getting any warmer. Turn that frozen junker into cold hard cash with DD Auto and Salvage in Logan. It's never too cold, too wet, or too late to clean up and cash out. DD Auto and Salvage makes it quick and easy. They'll even pick it up for you. Get the most money possible for junk vehicles or scrap metal. Clear it out. Get the cash today. Call 787-1204. That's 787-1204. And let DD Auto and Salvage pay you today. DD Auto and Salvage. Cold cars turned into hot cash.
If you live in Box Elder County, help for ear, nose, and throat issues just got a whole lot closer. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat is coming to you in their new Brigham City location February 5th. With over 75 years of combined provider experience, Dr. Jackson Deere is ready to care for allergies, asthma, sinus problems, hearing loss, and more in the Brigham City community. 990 South Medical Drive next to the Brigham City Hospital. Call 753-7880 to schedule or visit CacheValleyENT.com. Trusted care coming February 5th to Brigham City.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Indoor air in our area can be up to 5 times dirtier than outdoor air, especially during dry winter months. And dry air keeps dust and allergens floating longer and sending them deeper into your lungs and making sickness more likely. Mountain Valley Heating and Air can help with that. They install high-efficiency steam humidifiers that use 1 gallon of water with no waste to improve air quality. Call 435-753-5170. That's 435-753-5170. You can get a free in-home air quality assessment from Mountain Valley Heating and Air. So the Aggies, they're making their own assessments of their team. They saw what they were struggling in last year. They struggled on the offensive line. They struggled a bit on the defensive front. They also, assessed like who they lost. They weren't really struggling in the secondary, but they lost a lot of talent there in the secondary. And they've gone out in the transfer portal, and I think they're up to 32 players in the transfer portal, so have more than made up for the 25 that they lost via the transfer portal. And it wasn't even that massive of an exodus. Yeah, that we know of. There's probably a few that we don't know of, but if we don't know of them, they were probably back into the roster guys anyway. Because guys who are playing bigger roles, they're looking for, bigger programs, and they're going to make their transfer portal status known. So yeah, they're looking at 32 players that they've added from the transfer portal. So since we last updated this, I think the last update where we were talking about Eli Wood, wide receiver coming from Virginia, a really solid prospect. But since then, they've added Division II from Shippensburg University, Tyler Mazdia, I think, a defensive tackle, 6 foot, 285 pounds. Had a handful of tackles, a few tackles for loss, a sack, a forced fumble. At the Division II level, they added Texas State wide receiver L.J. Johnson Jr., not to be confused with the running back L.J. Johnson Jr. over at Cal. I already made that mistake. It was really weird looking. Like, how do you have the exact same name like that? Yeah. Lorenzo Johnson, I believe, is his given name there. But
coming to transfer from a future conference opponent.
Yeah, and he's also like a former Texas A&M, I think. So he's made the routes through the power conferences, and as you said, a conference opponent. So he's going to have a return game against, I don't know if it's going to be at Texas State or home against Texas State in Logan, but yeah, that'll be interesting there. Kai Stokes, a safety from Cincinnati, played mostly special teams last year. Played 125 snaps, but all of it, except for 4 or 5 snaps, was on special teams. So
good size for a safety, 6'1", 194 pounds.
Yeah, that is really good size. And then they've also got another defensive back coming in with good size, Antonio Blewett, I think is how you say that name. Bluiett. I think you pronounce that Blewett. Blewett, something like that. 6'1", 200 pounds, coming from North Dakota. Played 520 snaps. I didn't have time to get his stats before coming on the air, but a lot of playing time for North Dakota at the FCS level there. You've also got Kason Long, a converted offensive lineman over to defensive tackle. That's where he's 6'5", although only 270 pounds, so he's a bit lean. He is coming in as a redshirt sophomore. He's gone through his redshirt freshman season over at Texas Tech, and now he's coming to the Aggies. So I don't know if he's going to stay at defensive tackle or if they're going to move him back to the offensive line. That's something potentially to keep an eye on as far as position change. It's maybe something we'll ask about because we should be having a signing day press conference in the next couple of weeks or so. So we'll have a chance to talk about a lot of these players. They've also got Steven Saniu. I'm going to butcher this name. Sanieniola. Hold on. Sanieniola.
Sanienola? No.
I think you were a lot closer than I was.
Sanienola.
That is way too many vowels for me to be pronouncing in succession.
We'll find out pronunciations later.
Yeah, that is. Maybe I should have looked up a pronunciation guide for him.
Yeah, but another good size for a safety. 6'2", 205 pounds.
Yeah, another player who didn't play a whole. A lot of these guys they're adding did not play very much. Like L.J. Johnson, Kai Stokes is a special teamer. Kason Long, 5 snaps total. I think. I don't know. I can't remember if they were on offense or defense. I think some of them were like field goal block units. Steven, whose last name I can't say, didn't play a single snap for Troy. I think some of that was injury related. They've also got Ronnie Maggio, defensive tackle from Baylor, another 6'5" defensive tackle. They're really getting the tall ones. 294 pounds, played 48 snaps, a decent chunk of that on special teams. They're also adding Seth Wilfred from Auburn, a 6'5", 340-pound offensive lineman.
Oh, that is a big body.
Yeah, that is a big boy. But again, someone who played 0 snaps this last year. And then BJ Diakite, I might be butchering that as well. So yeah, so Diakite, Diakite.
I would probably say Diakite.
I know it's spelled like Diakite, but I'm sure it is not pronounced that way. Yeah. Edge rusher, outside linebacker will be his listed position with Utah State, where their edge rushers are listed as outside linebackers. 6'4", 250-pound, good size out of North Alabama, but again, only about 128 snaps. So a lot of these guys they're picking up late in the transfer portal are guys who are probably more likely going to be depth pieces. Or where they are some of these power conference transfers, maybe they can be surprise players who, that their talent is going to shine through once they transfer down to the Utah State level. But at the very least, I like some of these guys. They pick up some big bodies on the offensive and defensive line. Where again, you get an outside linebacker, edge rusher at 250 pounds. You get a basically 300-pound defensive lineman, 2 6'5" defensive lineman overall, a 340-pound offensive lineman coming from Auburn. So I like the way that they are continuing to address these. They aren't looking and saying, hey, I think we got starting caliber guys at a bunch of these different positions. They're adding guys who are really going to challenge those guys that they added early in the portal, and they're getting some really good depth at these positions. Now, some of these transfers are just not going to work out. That's how it always is.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Yeah, but I like some of the depth that they're getting, and if they can hit on most of these are some guys with some pretty good potential, and kind of can't wait to see a lot of these guys playing in spring ball, because then we'll get an idea of like, all right, how good can these guys be? Because if some of these guys come in and they're like starting right away and they're playing a lot in spring ball, that's a good sign that these transfers worked out. If you get into spring ball and you're not seeing any of these names, then it's like, well, that's not a good sign.
Well, that's the $1 million question, though, is will we see them in spring ball?
Yeah.
Because if they're being added to the roster now, like
they're halfway through the semester,
can they really get on campus and get into classes?
This might be your absolute last guy, because these transfers tend to pile up around the weekend because that's when visits happen, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This might be your absolute last gasp. These are the final guys who have a prayer of a chance of getting in to class for spring ball. I wouldn't even say all of these 30. I'd be surprised if all 32 of these transfers made it into spring classes. Might have to ask, Coach, about that. Like, how many of these guys are making it into class? Have maybe all of them did. Maybe they moved heaven and earth and got every single one of these guys into class, and
getting on campus so they can do weight training and do other things with their teammates to start
which
to bond.
Which is why it's important to get them in for spring class, because you can get them in here. You can get them enrolled and get them on campus and get them working out and through all these programs. I don't know if they can do that if they're not enrolled. If you're not enrolled, can you participate in any of that stuff? I would think not.
Yeah,
I don't know the rules as far as whether or not they're allowed to do that. But
you would just be in Logan, hanging out, even though your classes don't start until the summer semester.
I mean, there's nothing that keeps you from being in Logan, but I wonder if there are rules about having players using your facilities if they are current college athletes. Because I know a lot of times like
for
players,
scholarships and weight training and insurance. And
but there are
stuff.
players who like use the facilities, but they're usually like draft prospects who were probably already enrolled anyway, and they're just not going to be on the team next year. So I don't know. I might have to ask about that.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Like, can you have a guy who's not enrolled work out at your facilities if they're a current college athlete? That's one of those questions you have to ask some of the people that some of their compliance people.
Hey, one other cool thing about Utah State football, and this is this transcends football, but apparently Bobby Wagner has been announced as Utah State commencement speaker for 2026. And Cam Walker, director of athletics at Utah State, has taken to social media with a quote on this about Bobby Wagner coming. Says, excited for Bobby to receive this honor and excited for the students who get to hear from such an impactful leader. Bobby is a tremendous ambassador for Utah State University and our athletics department. He's an outstanding athlete and a remarkable person off the field who truly exemplifies what it means to be an Aggie. We're excited to welcome him back to Logan. And I think this is really, really cool. Now, some people might look at this and say, okay, well, there's just a former football player coming back. And why is he the commencement speaker when this is for the whole institution? They just don't know Bobby Wagner, if that's your reaction. Yes, he's a successful NFL player. He's a Hall of Famer. This guy has done a lot at the professional level, and he's won Super Bowls. He's been to Super Bowls. So on an athletic or just an athlete perspective, that's awesome. To have him still connected to the university. But when you look at, but does that still mean he should be the commencement speaker? What you may not know, and this doesn't get publicized enough, is what Bobby Wagner does off the field. For I don't know how long back it goes, but it's many, many, many years. Every team has somebody on their roster that they put forward as their, I can't even remember what the term is, like their man of the
Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Yeah, Man of the Year award. And it's who does like community service or tries to uplift their community, things like that. Bobby Wagner perennially, no matter what team he's on, is that team's representative, whether it was in Seattle or Los Angeles or in Washington. This guy does a lot for his communities where he is, and he's done a lot for Utah State as an institution. I can't speak specifics on all the things that he's done for Utah State specifically, but this is a guy who has done a lot for the communities that he has been a part of. So I think that's awesome, having him involved in that and to still keep those connections strong between him and Utah State University.
Yeah, like I know sometimes there can be some eye rolls of like, football players being given kind of an elevated status when, there's people ask questions about the true value of athletes and what they contribute to society. But like there are examples of athletes who you've just listed off a bunch of the reasons that, sure, Bobby Wagner is most known for wearing, football pads and tight shorts and tackling people on live television, but he's more than that. And a lot of athletes aren't more than that. They're exactly what they look like on TV. They go out there, they play football, and then they kind of disappear. And, aren't always, they'll contribute as much to society as the rest of us, except for they maybe raise the economic bottom line with how much they spend. But Bobby Wagner is out there who's being a big part of the community, who's being a big part of of what Utah State is. And so, and you bring in famous alumni and accomplished people to do this commencement stuff. Like that's what you do. I mean, didn't Stu Morrill also speak at one of these, or maybe with a graduation round? I forget. But
I think you're right.
Yeah, you bring in these kind of people, these highly successful people in whatever field they do. You bring them in because they're alumni. That's Utah State. It's who they are. And so it's nice to see Bobby Wagner coming back and being able to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that just kind of happened here recently. This afternoon. Just saw that broke, and since we're talking football,
we'll just have to see if giving speeches is in his wheelhouse, because we know that tackling, people like Derrick Henry is in his wheelhouse.
Yes.
What happens when he gets in front of a bunch of people? Because there's people who are tough as nails. You put in front of a crowd, and sometimes you get a little sheepish.
Yeah,
I don't know if Bobby Wagner is probably he's good enough that he'll probably do just fine stepping in front of a crowd, but.
Yes,
I'm sure it'll be a fun experience for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been inducted in the Utah State Athletics Hall of Fame. Great to see him.
He's going to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll see if he can be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, that's a big debate here recently, but cool to see Utah State continuing that connection there with him. And I hope that there may be a number of people at Utah State, students that may not really understand who he is or what his impact is, but this is a remarkable person. Cam Wright is absolutely right.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to.
Cam Walker.
Yeah, I don't think you have to be a football player, and you don't have to have this you don't have to sit there and be in awe of Bobby Wagner. You don't have to kiss the very ground that he walks on to respect that someone who has done good in your field. You don't have to like football. You don't even have to respect football, but. It's like when you meet someone who is successful in their field, even if you don't give a rat's behind about what field they're in, you can at least have respect for someone who has done well in whatever they do.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that you don't have any interest in and you don't care whatsoever, there are still lessons that can be learned from people who have success in various fields, because the attributes tend to carry over across all these different interests that. In fields that people get themselves into.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we're overdue for a break.
Yeah, we need to take a time out.
So let's go ahead and step away for a second here, and we'll be back on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Winter's rolling in. Cold, snow, wind, but Mother Nature can't cancel us. At Top Shed, we build custom sheds year-round, right on site in northern Utah, southern Idaho, and Wyoming. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, doesn't matter. We don't shut down. We show up, we build. So if you need storage, workplace, or a backyard upgrade, don't wait for spring. Top Shed builds in any weather. Top Shed, making sheds great again. Call 435-760-7766 or visit TopShedUSA.com. Master Auto Tech delivers honest, reliable auto repair and maintenance from certified technicians who put customers first. From routine service to major repairs, they're committed to quality work and clear communication. With 22 Utah locations, including Logan, Brigham City, and Ogden, there's always a Master Auto Tech nearby. Master Auto Tech, expert care, local service, and confidence you can trust.
Your trusted, helpful expert, Master Auto Tech.
Hi, I'm Emily Peterson, founder of Serenoni Luxury Blankets and Gifts. We started right here in Logan over 18 years ago, and what began as a way to help our daughter has grown into a local business that still does everything right here in Cache Valley, from designing to shipping to our shop that's open to the public. Our blankets are made with purpose and care. They're comfort, connection, and home. Serenoni, born in Logan and made for the moments that matter. Come shop our store on 10th West, right next to iFit in Logan.
Who do you turn to if you want to change out your wood or pellet stove? Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They were voted the gold medalist for Best of Northern Utah for the 5th year in a row in the fireplace retrofit category. Be ready when the government's next wood and pellet replacement incentives pop up. Advanced Fireplace can help you navigate the paperwork. For more information, call Advanced Fireplace and Stove, 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
What do Valentine's Day and Jarek's have in common? They're both all about the romance. Jarek's Fine Jewelry has a great selection for your sweetheart. Don't sweat it out worrying about where to get the perfect gift. We've recently added a 3D laser engraver. Now through Valentine's, Jarek's will personalize any jewelry purchase for no additional charge. We can engrave a wedding date, a name, or any message on most jewelry, like a pendant, watch, bracelet, the inside or outside of a ring. This Valentine's, let us help personalize your gift and make it special. Make it Jarek's.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Right now, Young Power Sports Logan has a massive selection of snowmobiles, and every sled is on sale. You got Mountain Trail, Crossover, new and non-current inventory, price to move. They will not be beat on price, guaranteed. If you're looking at Polaris or Ski-Doo, stop shopping around. The best deals in the region are right here, period. Young Power Sports Logan, get out and ride. They sponsor our Young Power Sports of Logan text line, 435-339-0321. Text in if you want to chime in on our conversation, any of our topics. Gone over Utah State basketball, their win over San Diego State, some of the Mountain West standings and latest bracketology, as things are really heating up with bracketology. Updates almost every single day now. Check out Bracket Matrix, tends to be our go-to for that. And then talking about Utah State football, as well as Bobby Wagner, an honor, going to be the commencement speaker this upcoming spring, and we'll see if he can become a Hall of Famer, because at this point, I don't know what a Hall of Famer is anymore.
If? No, there's no if.
Well, I don't know. Like, there was a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame, and he's not getting in. So
he'll get in.
You never know. These Hall of Fame voters are voting on different criteria. It's like the NCAA Tournament Committee. Like, should certain teams get into the NCAA Tournament? Yeah, but I don't trust the committee to make the right decision. And now I can't trust the NFL Hall of Fame voters. And you got guys like Rob Parker who vote on the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame saying Tom Brady shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. It's like, there are people who are just living in a completely different strain of reality. And I don't know. But yeah, Bobby Wagner's getting the Hall of Fame. But still,
he'll be fine.
I make a joke. Let's talk about high school basketball really quick. Got the latest RPI. I know we don't have a ton of time to go over this. But one more week of the regular season, and so far the RPI is still up. They haven't hit it yet.
Right, yeah, it's still there. Provo still number one in boys basketball. Pineview, Dixie, Crimson Cliffs, and Cottonwood round out the top 5. You have to go all the way down to 10 before you find a team from our area. Skyview at number 10. They're now the leading team in the RPI standings, RPI rankings, I should say, but they're also the number one team in the Region 11 standings. They're 11-1 in region play. But Ridgeline's right behind them. Ridgeline's 10-2 in region play. They're number 11 in the RPI or the UHSAA standings. They don't even call it RPI anymore. But so your top teams out of this area, Skyview at currently 10th, Ridgeline at 11th. To go a little bit further down, not too far, but then you find Green Canyon at 15, Mountain Crest at 18, Stansbury at 20, Bear River at 21, Tooele and Desert Peak are at the bottom. And when you look at girls basketball, Dixie and Green Canyon still neck and neck. This is really, really close. Dixie is at 19-2. Green Canyon is at 18-2. 1-2 in the standings right now. But Dixie's going to have a hard time because Pineview, Desert Hills, and Snow Canyon are all in the top 5. So some really good basketball and girls basketball being played in Southern Utah. Green Canyon, obviously, at number 2. Mountain Crest at number 6 in the standings, in the rankings, and Ridgeline at number 7. Tomorrow night, we're going to have a showdown between those two teams, and we'll have it live broadcast on one of our sister stations here and video streaming on Cache Valley Daily, Ridgeline and Mountain Crest, girls basketball tomorrow night. But then Skyview's at number 14. You have to go a little bit further down to find Bear River at 21. So that's what the current standings are in 4A. 3A, Jason, I don't know if it's really changed that much for the Grizzlies.
It's not really.
Yeah, Logan at 14 in the boys and currently sitting at 15 for the girls.
Yeah, things haven't gone as well as they should have, I mean, especially for the boys. They've had a lot of injury problems. Been close in some games, not as close in others. Season could have gone a lot better. Could have gone worse. But
it could always get worse.
But they've had some terrible luck in some instances. But they got one more week. I think they got one or two more wins in them. Grantsville and Ben Lomond are two teams they have already beaten this season, but they beat them both at home. They got to go on the road at Grantsville and at Ben Lomond. So we'll see how those things goes.
Yeah, you're right. As you said, this is the final week of the regular season for high school basketball in Utah, and then the final RPI or final rankings will be released on Saturday. They'll be online at 11 on Saturday. And then based on those rankings and those numbers, that's how they determine the bracket, who gets a first round bye, who's hosting, who's on the road, things like that. So that'll be more known on Saturday late morning, and we'll have those details on Cache Valley Daily.
All right, yep. Make sure to keep it tuned to Cache Valley Daily, where you can find those updates and watch the games, see how these ones play out, both boys and girls basketball. We got to take a break. When we come back, pick six. Who won? I've been on a roll. I'm on like 2 or 3 straight weeks. Eric's on the struggle bus, so we'll see if he can manage.
Gotta break the streak.
See if he can break the streak, get off the struggle bus. We'll find out next here on the Full Court Press.
Markets are unpredictable, but reaching your financial goals shouldn't be. Adams Wealth Advisors is dedicated to helping you navigate these challenges and ensure you're prepared for every outcome. Whether your financial plan revolves around advanced tax planning, estate planning, business strategies, retirement planning, or investment management, Adams Wealth Advisors team of CPAs, CFPs, and CFAs will provide the expertise needed to help you reach your financial goals. Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com. That's AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
The chips and drinks are endless. The burrito is huge for only $7.95. It's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant and gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and a massive burrito. You pay just $7.95. The food, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th West and Center in Logan.
Snow and black ice are here to stay for a while. If your tires aren't ready, neither is your vehicle. At Express Auto and Tire, they work with all vehicles and all tire sizes, making winter traction and safety their top priority. Name brand tires are always less at Express Tire. As a Point S Tire location, you're backed by a nationwide warranty. Get winter ready with no appointment needed. 3200 North Main.
Express Tire, tires for less.
Where tires and service come together.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome on back to the Full Court Press. We're wrapping things up here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan. Thanks for checking in, tuning in to our stations, as well as listening, or if you're listening live on the mobile app, on the website, 1069thefan.com or the 1069 The Fan mobile app. Or if you listen to the podcast feed, thanks for listening. Hope your workout or walk or whatever it was went well, or your homework, whatever you're doing while listening to the podcast, we hope it's going well for you, whatever time of day it may be. We've got to do pick six. We got to see if Eric's going to have a good day because he's not done well in pick six.
Let's go. It was super close last week.
It was. It's been close for like several weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's true. It's come down to one bad line.
Yeah, basically. Essentially, you've lost on the tiebreaker once or twice recently. So let's start with this one. Total points in the Utah State-San Diego State game. I set the line at 147.5. I took the over, and Eric, you took the under, and the under was the right call. 71-66 is not 148 points, so the under hits.
There we go.
Grand Canyon by 1.5 over Boise. We both took Grand Canyon, and that ended up being the right call. The Lopes win by 17, so covered that spread by a little bit. Elijah Price, his combined points and rebounds against UNLV. I set the line at 22.5. I took the under. You took the over. Eric, he almost cleared that with his points alone. He had 22 points, give him 11 rebounds. He easily cleared that 22.5 margin. So, Eric, you went 3 for 3 on my lines.
I like how this is trending.
Yeah. So then we go to points and rebounds by Drew Fielder. You set the line at 20.5. I took the under. You took the over. He had 9 points and 5 rebounds, so he does not hit the over on that one. So I claw one back. So it's 3-2 now. The San Diego State rebounding margin against Utah State. You set the line at 0.5. If you added 15 more, the under would have hit. I took USU. You took San Diego State. The Aggies out rebounded San Diego State 46-31. So we're tied at 3 going into the last line.
Oh boy.
Alcaraz versus Djokovic in the Australian Open. And I took Djokovic, you took Alcaraz, and it was Alcaraz who won the match.
Let's go.
So Eric wins pick 6. I actually didn't check the tiebreaker.
I don't even remember what it was.
It was wins by road teams in the Mountain West over under 3.5. I don't know. We have time. We can maybe check. I'm pretty sure the under hit. And you took the under, I think.
Wins by road teams?
Yeah, road teams.
So
yeah,
two home teams won on Friday. And then there were 2 road teams on Saturday who won.
So the end.
There's only 2.
So you would have won on the tiebreaker had we, for whatever reason, both picked. So we picked different people for that last line. So wouldn't have mattered there. But yeah, there we go.
Sigh of relief.
Eric finally winning pick 6. Not my longest streak, but it was something like somewhere between 2. I think it was 2 or 3. I don't know if it was 4, but.
Hey, so certainly one of the big items today, Bobby Wagner announced as the commencement speaker coming up in the spring for Utah State. That's awesome. Also reports that the Mountain West TV deal will likely be announced tomorrow, and the CW is likely to be involved. If that's the case, Pac-12 Enterprises will probably be the production arm for that, which means the Mountain West inadvertently keeps paying the the Pac-12.
There we go. Factor that into the settlement for the lawsuit that's probably coming, because I feel like settlement's probably going to be the end of that. At least keep thinking that's going to be the end of that, but I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
They seem really keen to just, I don't know. There's so many times they could have settled, but both sides are like so entrenched that they're right in that they want everything. The Pac-12 wanted to give basically nothing to the Mountain West, and the Mountain West wanted to drain the Pac-12 dry, and I don't know. The lawyers are the ones who are making that Elite 8 run right now.
Well, it'll also be interesting to see if the details of this Mountain West TV deal are announced, because they were not leaked for the Pac-12. If these are underwhelming numbers, do other teams out of the Mountain West start to throw a fit? And could we see more conference realignment?
Yeah, if it's like bad, then yeah, that's where you're seeing UNLV maybe throwing a bit of a fit and wanting to go to the Pac-12.
You sold us a bad bill of goods. We're out.
Yeah, and they're not getting all that money so far. At least maybe they're not getting that money, the bribe money from the Mountain West. We'll see that how that ends up going. But make sure to keep it here tuned here on the Full Court Press every day, 4 to 6 p.m. That's going to do it for us today, but we'll keep talking every day, 4 to 6 p.m. about Utah State, Mountain West, Pac-12 sports here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
You asked, begged, and even pleaded, and the heavens heard you. KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.